Well, it's an honor to be here with you all today. I'm David Clark, born and raised right here in Georgia. I grew up in Gwinnett County on a small farm. I had one of 10 children. I had 6 brothers, 3 sisters. The 7 boys, 4 of us served in the military, 3 in the Army, and served during the War on Terror, and 1 served in the Navy. Out of high school, I joined the military, served 6 years, deployed and all that, and then in 2012 I got out, got into real estate with 2 of my brothers. We started a company, and then in 2014, my oldest brother, who had served 2 terms, he was stepping down. He called me. He said, "Hey, do you want to run for my seat?" And I remember I was on my front porch, and I said, "Heck no, I'm good." And Michael Brown and Lisa, his wife, they prayed about it and stepped up and ran, and I helped his campaign. He won the primary, and then he passed away from a heart attack 3 months later at 53. Amazing man. I learned so much from them. And something just jumped in my heart, and I just thought, and prayed about it, and thought I should step in and jump into the special election, and came out. I won it, and I've been serving since 2015. And 2016, politics can be good. I met my wife, Brandon Beach's daughter, at a debate up in Canton, and I walked up to him after, and I said, "Senator, great debate." And he goes, are you married? And I said, "No, sir." He goes, "Are you single?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "Have you met my daughter?" And I was like, "No, do you have a daughter?" And it was love at first sight. 6 months after that, we got engaged and then married 6 months after that. And we have 3 kids, Madison, Miles, and Maverick. They're 7, 3, and almost 2. Madison's daddy's girl, princess, perfect, can do no wrong. 2 little boys, absolute tornadoes. I love them to death, but they're a handful. But my mom told me out of the 10 kids, I was the toughest to raise, and she was on her knees praying every day just how to raise me. I think I turned out okay, and she's like, "God's just getting you back with these 2. Absolute all boy, but I love it." And then in 2019, I decided my time in the military was not done. And last 7 years serving in the Special Forces, known as the Green Berets. And it was one of the, thank you. And just officially got out January 20th, 13 years, and it was an absolute honor. But I'll tell you my why. I had no plans to run for this seat. I was gone this past summer with my Special Forces team, but July 29th, I got a call from a House colleague, and he was like, "Hey, who are you backing for LG?" And I said, "Probably nobody. I'm probably going to stay out of the race." Because if you follow my politics, you can Google me, ChatGPT me. I'm huge on transparency, accountability, integrity, and I just didn't think the right ones were running. But I did tell myself there's one I'm still looking at if I do decide maybe to back somebody. And he dropped a name on the phone, and I said, "Yeah, that's who I'm looking at if I did back somebody." And he said, "Well, some serious allegations are coming out during the campaign, but if you can beat him, he could be the next LG." And I was like, "Well, then I'm staying out of the whole race." And that night, which is my wife's birthday, we were out for dinner, and I told her about the phone call, and she said to me, she goes, "Why don't you pray about running?" She's like, "You decided to wrap your time up in the Green Berets, you don't have any skeletons, why don't you pray about it?" So I called my pastor, called some of my mentors, because I think you need to have mentors in life, because it's easy to jump the gun, think you're the man for the job. And so talked to them, prayed, and we launched August 12th, and we've been going 6 days a week, take a day off on Sunday, usually spend time with the wife, the kids, go to church, and I'm going to do that till May 19th and give it to God and give it to the voters. But I'll tell you, there are 7 in the race. It's kind of a stacked field. But I'll tell you this, I'm the only battle-tested candidate running in this race. It's a fact. Whether it's in defense of my nation overseas in combat, which was one of the greatest honors of my life. But number 2, taking on the radical left and their ideology, which is pretty easy today. You just turn the TV on and you can see what they're up to. But the 3rd, and I'm the only one who's done this, are you willing to stand up to members of your own party when they're not willing to do the right thing? And I've done that. 2019, I got a chairmanship. I was presiding over a committee. It was pretty cool. I was put on a bunch of big committees. And about a month and a half after getting my chairmanship, it came out the former Speaker of the House said how he had tweaked a 100-year law in 2005 to allow continuances for attorneys in the House and the Senate to do it not just during session to push a court cases back. You could do it all year long. And he had cases 10 to 15 years old running. And one that jumped out, her name was Haley, 11 years old, got raped, and not had a day in court in 10 years. And me and my wife had just had Madison 6 months prior. And if you're a dad and you got a little girl, that's daddy's girl. And I couldn't sleep for like 3 days. And I knew I had to go talk to him. And I went in his office and I said, "Mr. Speaker, I love you. Jesus loves you. Thank you for my chairmanship, my committees, all that you've given me." I said, "But what came out of the agency is wrong." And I said, because we all run in politics saying we're going to fight for you and your families as if you're my own. We all say it in some form or fashion, all of us. And I said, "Who am I as a man to stay silent?" I said, because if that was my little girl, Madison, 10 years, no day in court, and had been raped, I'm going to kill you and the rapist. I'm just being honest. And so I have to call you out. And I called him out. I lost my chairmanship, lost all my committees. I got left on the committee I presided over. I guess they put it in my face. And then 22, the redistricting. I got called up with the Green Berets. I was gone for 12 weeks, off the grid, no phone. My wife was pregnant with Miles II at that time, and gave her a power of attorney. She qualified me. I came back a week before the election, won 60-40, outspent 18-1. They spent almost exactly $1 million. I give it to God, I give it to the voters, but I think it shows I can stand on my convictions, stand on what I believe is right, give it to God, give it to the voters, and if he has it for me, he has it for me, but not to live for the title, and it matters. But I'll say, thank you. But I'll say a few things I like to do as the LG, because you preside over the Senate. Number one, I've traveled the state since August 12th, is property tax. It's absolutely crushing people. It's the most evil tax there is, because you can pay off your house, but you never truly own it. You can still lose it later on down the road. So that's my number one. Number two, I mean, there's a lot of talk, and Florida, has eliminated the state income tax. We're talking about eliminating the property tax. I'd love to do both one day. That'd be amazing, and turn it more into a consumption tax, because I hate taxes as much as all of you. But it needs to be done the right way, because we have an amazing state. This is where I was born. I'm going to die. And you need to make sure you don't hurt the industries either. It needs to be done the right way, with the right people in the room, sitting down with all the leaders across the state, and figuring that out the proper way. Third, I'm massive on school choice. My mom's a teacher. She homeschooled half of us all the way through. The younger half, a mixture of homeschool, private school, public school. So I'm not anti any one, but I believe parents should be able to choose the best education for their kids. And then also bring the hammer to woke ideology, K through 12. I'm going to teach my kids to love their God, love others, stand up, do the right thing, but not teachers pushing their leftist ideology on them. And then bringing down the hammer on academia. Your young men and women being told to write papers a certain way, or they won't graduate college. And I'll tell you this, as Lieutenant Governor, I'll be the one going down those campuses and telling the president, you have two options. Stop this right this second. Number two, I'm going to go public, and we're going to mess with your funding. I'm sorry, no matter who you are, because in 28, the majority of the vote will be millennials and Gen Z. And if we lose the next generation of votes, we have no country and we're done. And this has to stop. And you have to fight like hell. And then fourth, I can tell you I'll be the biggest backer of law enforcement this state has ever had. And as a Green Beret and combat vet, if they need another boot to kick in the door, I'll do it. And Sheriff Long, who's an amazing sheriff, who's endorsed me, he's going to deputize me as a sheriff deputy in the next few weeks. And he's going to let me do a big, huge sting operation. He said, I'll let you be the first in the door. And I was like, I've been doing it all my life, haven't done it in America. I can't wait to do it. I'll make sure they have the resources, the training to do the job. But I'll answer a question that I get a lot. What does the LG do? You can be a great legislator, but be a terrible commander. And as the LG, you're the one who presides over the Senate. You have massive influence on the bills that come to the floor, the ones that don't come to the floor. You're the one who holds the line against special interest. You should be the first off the chopper, last on the chopper. And as one of my favorite quotes Ronald Reagan had on his desk, and I've been to his library 3 times, huge fan of his, and Michael Reagan, who passed away recently, gave me my first tour. But the quote is, there's no limit to how high a man can go as long as he doesn't mind who gets the credit. That's what leadership is. It's not about you, it's about serving and putting others over yourself. But I'll tell you, and I think we all agree, we're a nation in decay. I'm thankful for President Trump and all he's doing. We have, some good leaders across this nation. But I believe the number one reason why we're a nation in decay is, you look at our founding fathers, you look at the Declaration of Independence. First time in history in a revolution that you don't have the poor, the peasant versus the king. You have prominent men, and some of them filthy rich. And you look at John Hancock, just one of them, largest signature on there. It's massive. And why did he do it so big? He was a merchant. The moment he signed it, he was willing to give his today for our tomorrow. The British took his ships the moment he signed it. And I believe today, if you held a blank Declaration of Independence, and you told every elected, Democrats and Republicans, and I'm elected also, and you told them you could be hung for treason, you could be killed, lose your family, lose your wealth, lose everything. Are you willing to sign it? I think the majority of them would say, you know what, I've done enough for God and country, I'm going to go home. And that's the problem. Too many people are running for a title and not to do the right thing. They're using it to elevate themselves. And I'll tell you, for example, I've learned recently, a fellow elected at the Capitol, because of his title, he ran somebody over, killed a man on a bike. He was a husband, he was a father, he had kids. And because of his title, he was able to be swept underneath the rug, and that's just wrong. There should not be one set of rules for us who are elected and another set for the average Georgian. It's wrong. So wrapping up, I'll just tell you this. If you vote for me May 19th, I'll be the most upfront, transparent, statewide elected official you've ever had here in Georgia. And why I can promise that is 2 things. My faith in God and my time in combat. I know tomorrow is not promised. I've lost buddies over there. And I know one day I'll stand before God. We're all going to die, one way or the other. And you stand for God, he'll judge you, not for what you did publicly, it's what you did behind closed doors. The words you said, the actions you took, he's going to judge you. And I have a very healthy, fair, and respect of that. And I'll tell you, it's campaign time. We all talk a big, tough game, battle-tested warriors, fighters. And as the saying goes, everybody wants to be a gangster until it's time to do gangster things. I've done that. I've given up chairmanships. I've given up committees. And I'll do the right thing and stand up and be a voice for those who have no voice. So thank you so much. God bless all of you. And I'll stay around until after. Thank you.